In an era marked by the shifting dynamics between technology and politics, Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, finds himself in a precarious position as his influence wanes amidst escalating tensions with the Trump administration. Once hailed as a trusted confidant, Cook's relationship with President Trump has soured, threatening not only his standing but also the operational stability of one of the world's most valuable companies. In a recent turn of events, Cook opted not to accompany President Trump on a diplomatic trip to the Middle East, a decision that reportedly irked the president. During his visit, Trump publicly acknowledged Cook's absence while praising other tech executives, leading to pointed remarks about Cook's commitments to overseas manufacturing. "I mean, Tim Cook isn't here, but you are," Trump remarked to Nvidia's Jensen Huang, before expressing his discontent over Cook's plans for manufacturing in India. This public rebuke marks a stark contrast to the earlier praise Trump had for Cook, whom he once humorously misnamed Tim Apple. The tensions escalated further when Trump threatened a 25% tariff on iPhones produced outside the U.S., a move that could have significant financial implications for Apple. This threat arrives just weeks after Cook had successfully lobbied for an exemption from a previous 145% tariff on Chinese-made iPhones. Such reversals highlight the precariousness of Cook's once favored status within the administration and raise questions about his ability to navigate the complex interplay of corporate and government relations. The backdrop of this turmoil includes a series of challenges for Apple. Following a disappointing outcome in an App Store trial where the presiding judge criticized Apple executives for dishonesty, the company has faced mounting scrutiny over its operational practices. Compounding these issues, Cook's efforts to pivot production to India, while strategically sound, have led to further friction with the White House, which is adamant about reshoring manufacturing jobs to the U.S. Despite the mounting challenges, Cook has managed to steer Apple to unprecedented financial heights, with the company's market capitalization soaring by over $2.5 trillion under his leadership. Apple continues to generate substantial profits, yet the ongoing political backlash poses significant risks to its future. As the Trump administration doubles down on its America First policies, Cook's previous gains appear increasingly tenuous. New Wexler, a policy communications expert, noted that Cook's close relationship with Trump has inadvertently placed Apple in a vulnerable position, with every concession now subjected to intense scrutiny. "The incentive to crack down is much stronger," Wexler remarked, underscoring the precarious nature of corporate diplomacy in the current political climate. While Cook has attempted to mitigate the fallout by pledging to invest $500 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years and emphasizing domestic sourcing initiatives, the administration's aggressive tariff threats remain a significant concern. Trump's insistence on having iPhones manufactured in the U.S. reflects a broader trend of protectionism that is reshaping the landscape of international trade. Looking ahead, the implications of these developments extend beyond Apple. As the technology sector grapples with increasing political pressures and an evolving regulatory environment, the fate of tech executives like Cook may hinge on their ability to adapt to a new paradigm where corporate interests must deftly navigate the currents of political affiliation and public sentiment. The question looms: can Cook reclaim his voice in a landscape where trust and influence have become increasingly transactional? Or will he fade into the background as the political tides continue to shift? In the ever-evolving landscape of U.S. politics and technology, significant shifts are underway as former President Donald Trump's administration continues to make headlines. As the nation grapples with the implications of these changes, new appointments and departures are reshaping the political arena. Recent reports highlight Trump's controversial choices for oversight roles amidst a backdrop of economic challenges and shifting social dynamics. One of the most talked about developments is Trump's selection of several figures for key oversight positions, including a former lawmaker embroiled in scandal and a prominent anti-abortion attorney. Critics argue that these appointments reflect a troubling trend in Trump's leadership style, prioritizing loyalty over competence. Political analysts suggest that this approach may alienate moderates and independents, potentially impacting the Republican Party's standing in upcoming elections. As the administration navigates these turbulent waters, it is also attempting to address pressing economic issues. The Trump administration is reportedly seeking a hold on a contentious tariff decision that could have far-reaching effects on trade relations. The potential escalation to the Supreme Court underscores the gravity of the situation, with economic experts warning that prolonged uncertainty could exacerbate existing market volatility. Adding to the intrigue, Elon Musk's recent departure from the Trump administration has drawn attention. Musk, a polarizing figure in the tech industry, had a tenure marked by both innovation and controversy. His exit is seen as a significant loss for the administration, raising questions about the future of tech policy under Trump's leadership. Musk's influence on the dialogue surrounding technology and innovation may now be diminished. But many speculate that he will continue to shape the industry from the outside. While political maneuverings unfold, a cultural phenomenon is also taking root as Americans increasingly turn to digital platforms for real estate insights. The surge in interest in Zillow illustrates a broader trend of technology intertwining with everyday life, reflecting a collective fascination with property markets. This shift highlights the growing importance of digital tools in decision-making processes, particularly in housing, and raises questions about the future of real estate transactions in a tech-driven world. As these developments continue to evolve, the implications for both the political landscape and the technology sector are profound. The choices made today will undoubtedly influence the trajectory of the Republican Party and the administration's policies. Moreover, the intersection of technology and culture will likely lead to further innovations that could disrupt traditional industries. Observers of U.S. politics and technology are left to ponder how these dynamics will unfold in the months to come as both sectors adapt to the challenges and opportunities ahead. In a landscape where political ambitions often intersect with corporate maneuverings and infrastructure challenges, recent developments have sparked conversations across multiple sectors, drawing attention for their implications on governance, safety, and the economy. As the 2024 electoral landscape begins to take shape, former mayor and current U.S. ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel has made headlines by suggesting that the Democratic brand is in need of revitalization. In a candid reflection shared with the Wall Street Journal, Emanuel expressed concerns about the party's current standing, stating, "We need to strengthen our brand if we hope to regain the trust of the American people." This observation comes at a time when the Democratic Party grapples with public perception and electoral successes, raising questions about potential candidacies and the strategies necessary to win back voters. Meanwhile, in the corporate realm, NRG Energy has emerged as a noteworthy player in the stock market, with its shares soaring amid a broader conversation about profitability in the renewable energy sector. As the company navigates the complexities of energy production and distribution, questions about its revenue generation strategies have come to the forefront. Analysts have pointed out that NRG's approach, which includes a mix of traditional and renewable energy sources, is designed to appeal to a diverse consumer base and mitigate risks associated with market fluctuations. "Our revenue model is structured to adapt to changing energy demands and regulatory landscapes," said NRG's CEO, emphasizing the company's commitment to sustainability while ensuring financial stability. In the aviation industry, United Airlines is grappling with safety concerns, particularly in relation to the air traffic control system, following a series of high-profile incidents. The airline's CEO recently discussed the pressing need for modernization in air traffic infrastructure, asserting, "We cannot compromise on safety. Upgrading our air traffic control systems is non-negotiable." This statement reflects a growing urgency within the industry to address outdated systems that have been linked to delays and safety risks. As airlines face mounting pressure to improve operational reliability, the implications for air travel efficiency and passenger safety are significant. In a somewhat different arena, the ongoing legal tussle between Paramount and CBS has captured the attention of the media industry, particularly as former President Donald Trump seeks a larger settlement in a lawsuit related to contract disputes. Paramount's offer of $15 million to settle the case has been met with skepticism from Trump's camp, with sources suggesting that the expectation for a higher payout could complicate negotiations. This situation underscores the intersection of media politics and finance, illustrating how high-profile figures can leverage their visibility to influence corporate decisions. As these stories unfold, they highlight the interconnectedness of political, corporate, and societal dynamics in shaping the future landscape. With efforts to rejuvenate the democratic brand, enhance safety in air travel, and navigate complex legal disputes, the coming months are likely to present further developments that will affect not only the stakeholders involved but also the broader public. Whether through electoral shifts, corporate strategies, or infrastructure improvements, the outcomes of these narratives will undoubtedly echo across various sectors, prompting continued scrutiny and engagement from the public and industry observers alike. In a significant ruling that could reshape the landscape of U.S. trade policy, the Court of International Trade has deemed former President Donald Trump's recent global tariff strategy illegal. This landmark decision, delivered on May 28, 2025, strikes a serious blow to Trump's administration, which had relied on emergency economic powers to impose sweeping tariffs on various imports. The ruling not only challenges the executive authority used to implement these tariffs but also raises critical questions about the future of U.S. trade relations amid ongoing economic uncertainties. The court's judgment came in response to two lawsuits filed by small businesses and a coalition of U.S. states, highlighting the adverse effects of the tariffs on local economies and businesses. Specifically, the ruling invalidated the tariffs announced on April 2, which included a baseline 10% levy and higher reciprocal duties on a range of countries, although it did not affect existing sectoral tariffs on steel and automotive imports. In its decision, the court stated unequivocally that Trump's executive orders exceeded the authority granted to the president to regulate imports via tariffs, labeling them contrary to law. As news of the ruling spread, U.S. stock markets responded positively, with the S&P 500 gaining 0.8% and the Nasdaq Composite rising 1.5%. This reaction underscores the market's relief over the potential easing of trade tensions, which had been exacerbated by Trump's aggressive tariff policies. Analysts at ING noted that the ruling represents a significant legal and political challenge to the use of emergency powers in trade policy, adding yet another layer of uncertainty to the already complex U.S. trade environment. The White House, however, has signaled its intention to appeal the ruling, with spokespersons asserting that it is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency. This stance reflects a broader belief within the Trump administration that strong executive action is necessary to safeguard U.S. economic interests. Stephen Miller, a senior advisor to Trump, described the court's decision as part of a judicial coup, illustrating the administration's deep frustration with the judicial system's intervention in trade matters. Opposition voices in Congress welcomed the ruling. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, a vocal critic of Trump's trade taxes, stated, "I argued from the start that Donald Trump's claim that he could simply decrease sky-high new taxes on imported goods depended on mangling the Constitution beyond recognition." He emphasized the negative impact of the tariffs on American consumers, citing increased prices on essential goods and the disruption of supply chains for businesses across the country. The legal battles surrounding Trump's tariffs reflect a growing tension between the executive branch and Congress regarding trade policy. Under the U.S. Constitution, Congress holds the power to set tariffs, while the Trump administration has relied on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to justify its actions, claiming that a lack of reciprocity in trade relationships constituted a national emergency. As the fallout from this ruling unfolds, the implications for U.S. trade policy could be profound. Trump had recently agreed to delay a threatened 50% tariff on the European Union after engaging in talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. And discussions with China have also indicated a potential de-escalation of tensions. The court's ruling may embolden other nations and businesses to push back against unilateral trade measures and seek more stable cooperative trade relationships. Moving forward, the discourse around U.S. trade policy is likely to intensify as stakeholders from various sectors weigh in on the implications of this landmark decision. The evolving legal landscape will undoubtedly shape the administration's approach to trade negotiations and its overall economic strategy in the years to come. As the appeal process unfolds, the outcome may not only redefine Trump's trade agenda but also set important precedents for the use of executive power in economic matters. In a stark revelation that intertwines military strategy with environmental concerns. Researchers have warned that NATO's planned rearmament could lead to an increase in greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 200 million tons annually. This alarming statistic emerges against the backdrop of a global military spending surge which reached a staggering $2.46 trillion in 2023. The findings highlighted in an exclusive report by The Guardian raise critical questions about the priorities of nations amid escalating armed conflicts worldwide, the highest number since World War II. The study's authors emphasized the dual impact of military investments. Not only do they incur significant carbon costs associated with the production and operation of military hardware, but they also divert resources away from essential climate action initiatives. Ellie Kinney, a researcher with the Conflict and Environment Observatory and a co-author of the study, stated, "There is a real concern around the way that we are prioritizing short-term security and sacrificing long-term security." She notes that the current focus on military security exacerbates global emissions, thereby intensifying the climate crisis and potentially leading to further violence. The repercussions of climate change as a catalyst for conflict are evident in various regions such as Darfur, where resource scarcity has sparked violent competition, and the Arctic, where melting ice has heightened tensions over natural resources. An analysis by Kinney and her colleagues reveals that military activities already contribute approximately 5.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions, a figure expected to rise given geopolitical tensions and increased military expenditures among NATO allies. The situation is particularly pronounced in Europe, where military spending has surged more than 30% from 2021 to 2024. Driven by heightened security concerns stemming from the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The European Union's recent proposal for an additional €800 billion in defense spending, dubbed Rearm Europe, underscores this trend. Researchers estimate that an increase of just 2 percentage points in GDP devoted to military spending could result in an additional emissions increase of between 87 and 194 megatons per year across NATO member states. The financial implications are staggering. The social cost of carbon, estimated at $1,347 per ton of CO2, suggests that NATO's military buildup could impose an annual economic burden of up to $264 billion. This situation is compounded by the fact that increased military spending often comes at the expense of climate change mitigation efforts. Countries like the UK have reportedly funded their military spending increases by slashing overseas aid budgets, further undermining global climate initiatives. As nations grapple with the dual challenges of security and environmental sustainability, the study's findings highlight a critical crossroads. The prioritization of military expenditures over climate commitments poses severe risks not only to environmental goals but also to long-term global security. Kinney warns that the increasing militarization could severely hinder progress towards sustainable development goals, particularly in climate action. With the world facing unprecedented challenges including rising temperatures and geopolitical tensions, the path forward requires a re-evaluation of priorities. As military spending continues to escalate, the potential for further conflict and environmental degradation looms large, necessitating urgent dialogue and action to align national security strategies with global climate commitments. The stakes are high, and the choices made today will significantly shape the future of both our planet and international relations. In a significant move that reflects the evolving landscape of media and technology, the New York Times has entered into a multi-year licensing agreement with Amazon, allowing the tech giant to utilize the newspaper's editorial content across its artificial intelligence platforms. Announced on May 29, 2025. This collaboration marks the first instance where the Times has engaged in a licensing deal specifically targeting generative AI, a technology that has garnered both excitement and concern in recent years. The agreement comes on the heels of the Times' legal actions against OpenAI and Microsoft in 2023, where it accused these companies of copyright infringement for using its articles to train their AI systems without compensation. While OpenAI and Microsoft have denied these claims, the licensing deal with Amazon appears to be a strategic pivot for the Times to ensure its content is both protected and monetized in the rapidly changing digital environment. Meredith Kopit-Levine, CEO of the Times, emphasized the importance of this deal in a note to staff, stating, "The deal is consistent with our long-held principle that high-quality journalism is worth paying for." She noted that the agreement aligns with the organization's commitment to ensuring that its intellectual property is valued appropriately, whether through commercial arrangements or legal enforcement. Under the terms of this agreement, Amazon will integrate content from the Times into various customer-facing experiences, including its Alexa voice assistant. This integration could involve providing users with news summaries or information sourced from the Times, complete with proper attribution and links back to the original articles. Additionally, the content will also play a role in training Amazon's proprietary AI models, further blurring the lines between journalism and technology. Amazon's foray into AI has been marked by a sense of urgency, particularly since the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT in late 2022, which ignited an AI revolution. Although Amazon possesses the necessary computing infrastructure, being the largest cloud services provider in the world, it has struggled to keep pace with the rapid advancements made by competitors like OpenAI and Google. To bolster its AI capabilities, Amazon has engaged in significant acquisitions, including a $330 million deal with the startup Adept, and has brought in top talent to lead its AI research initiatives. This partnership with the Times is part of a broader trend among news organizations grappling with the implications of AI technology. While some, like the Times, have chosen litigation routes to protect their content, others have opted for licensing agreements to generate revenue from the use of their material, indicating a potential shift in how media companies navigate the challenges posed by AI. For instance, the Washington Post, owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, recently secured a deal with OpenAI, highlighting the varying strategies employed across the industry. As the landscape of AI and journalism continues to evolve, this partnership between the Times and Amazon sets a precedent for how traditional media can leverage its assets in the digital age. It also raises critical questions about the future of content ownership, copyright, and the ethical considerations surrounding the use of journalistic material in AI training. Looking ahead, the implications of this licensing agreement could be profound. As AI systems become more integrated into everyday life, the ability of news organizations to monetize their content while ensuring its integrity will be crucial. The success of this partnership may well serve as a blueprint for other media companies navigating similar challenges, indicating a potential shift towards collaborative models that benefit both journalism and technology.